All right. On Saturday, April 18th at 6:53 p.m., we responded to the 1500 block of 34th Avenue for a shooting. Based on information provided by witnesses on the scene, a description of the vehicle was disseminated to responding officers. A patrol officer responding to the scene spotted a vehicle matching the description and made contact with the vehicle and the occupants. The victims of the shooting, a mother, Anisha Daniels, and her adult son, Gregory Daniels, were transported to a nearby hospital by Anisha's boyfriend, who was also on the scene. Our investigation revealed that this murder and aggravated assault occurred because of a dispute over a bad drug deal between Gregory Daniels and the suspects, John Minter, Cottrell Agee, and Carlos Otis. Each have been arrested and charged. John Minter was on probation through the Mississippi Department of Corrections for a 2008 robbery and a 2013 aggravated assault. Cottrell Agee, or Agee, was out on bond for statutory rape. Yesterday, April 19th, at approximately 12 in the afternoon, we responded to Ashton Park Apartments on Quandet Road for a shooting. When our officers arrived, they found Robert Johnson lying dead from a gunshot wound to the head. He had a handgun next to him. Our investigation revealed that Robert Johnson and Tavon Johnson were driving in the apartment complex when they came into contact with the adult male victim. Both Johnsons attempted to provoke a physical altercation through verbal challenges. The adult male was accompanied by his girlfriend and 2-year-old child, and a second adult male. Anticipating violence, the adult male victim quickly loaded his family into a car and retreated to his apartment for safety. The Johnsons pursued in their vehicle while brandishing firearms. The family secured themselves in their apartment. The Johnsons were observed by the adult male victim approaching with handguns. Tavon Johnson observed the male victim and shot at him from the courtyard. The victim armed himself with a shotgun. The victim then returned gunfire. Then the victim notified the police. Robert Johnson was struck and killed. Tavon Johnson, who fled to an apartment in the complex, was arrested and charged with aggravated assault. Tavon Johnson was taken to the Harrison County Jail on a bond of $100,000. Yesterday, he posted bond and left jail. The murder of Anisha Daniels marks the 5th murder in Gulfport for 2015. As investigators, we look specifically at the facts of each case in order to determine what happened and why it happened. With the rise in violent crime, we are looking at these murders and other acts of violence in our city. The question is, what is causing this? I will tell you there is no single answer. However, this violence is concentrated to certain and consistent areas. These violent crimes are not random. In almost every case, there is preemptive behavior that lends itself to a quick escalation. Much of this violent crime is associated with the illegal sales of controlled substances. There is also a criminal subculture that is so contrary to the actual culture we live in. This subculture is indifferent to law enforcement, and the moral standards that all our community lives by. I must stress that this subculture is not invisible. Violent criminals are not always engaging in violence, but they are routine in their lifestyles. These lifestyles are readily apparent to those around them. We as a community recognize this counterculture. We must not accept it. In every community in our city, there are people who are working with us to eradicate crime. However, there are those that are turning a blind eye and even defending the criminal lifestyles that are leading up to violent crime. We live in a media age. Look at Facebook. Look at how many of our young people are depicting themselves with drugs, guns, and money. This criminal subculture, and to some degree, even mainstream media, is glamorizing this lifestyle. I do believe this is an area we must address. Not just the police, but we as a community. Don't accept a lifestyle. It's an indicator of things to come. It starts with our families and it goes into our neighborhoods. I've been asked what the police department's going to do about crime in Gulfport. We will continue to put offenders in jail and in prison. The 5 homicides that occurred this year were almost solved within the first hours of our response. This is a testament to this police department and to the community we serve who helps us in this. We all have to work harder in the deterrence of crime. Do not wait till something tragic happens. When you are aware of the smaller crimes that are indicative of the criminal subculture, you must act. Do not wait for violence. The Gulfport Police Department, along with its citizens, will continue to aggressively go after those few criminals that attempt to thrive in our community. I will make this promise to all criminals. We will be relentless in our pursuit to identify you and arrest you, so you can either change, you can leave, or you can go to prison. Are there any questions?
In the case where the victim was being pursued and left with his family, do you know if at any point you contacted the police after he was initially threatened?
Our investigation shows it was a quick unfold of events. It's the middle of the afternoon in an apartment complex. It's hard for me not to believe that other people are watching this. And it goes just to what I'm talking about, the acceptance of a subculture, a criminal subculture. For most people in this city, seeing that kind of activity go on, they would pick up the phone. Because I can tell you, when we had our crime scene, the spectators were there. It's hard for me to believe they weren't out there when this was unfolding. And it's that kind of activity that has got to stop. We have got to quit living in such a way we allow for this stuff to happen.
Are you saying that people perhaps witnessed guns being brandished around outside?
Robin, I certainly do. I certainly do. And I'm sick and tired of hearing this no snitching, don't work with the police. And it's the same group of people that'll come belly aching how good a person these criminals were right before they died. And it's sad because we shouldn't be losing our young people to crime. But if we sit back and we allow this, Robin, we allow them to live these lifestyles that they're living, how are we supposed to be surprised when they lay dead in a parking lot? When we see them leave with guns? When we know they're not going to work? When they got fat wads of money? When they're depicting this lifestyle on Facebook? How can we sit back and wonder, why did this happen? That's a joke.
The death of Robert Johnson, is that shooting going to go before a grand jury to determine if perhaps it was justified?
Yes, ma'am, it will. We spoke to the DA's office yesterday, and we're all in agreement it will stand a grand jury review.
Can you give the age of the person who was the victim, who they approached?
He's an adult male. I don't have the age.
The others
Greg?
are younger. Would he be around their age, young adults?
I say, I don't want to speculate on the age. I don't have it in front of me. He's a young man with a small child and a girlfriend, and they were just trying to live a normal life.
You mentioned the reasons that you think people aren't talking. Do you think it's fear as well?
No. I think that's an excuse. And I think in some instances fear may be a factor, but I think it's a general acceptance. God, look at TV. When y'all are on the news, watch regular TV. We accept that. That's our national profile now. Speak ill of the police and glamorize criminal lifestyle. And then y'all wonder what we're going to do about it? It is a community problem. Everyone, the media, the citizens, everybody has got to get involved and say, you know what, I've had enough. I'm going to quit portraying this in different lights. Let's talk about facts, let's talk about reality, and then we can deal with it. But if we keep subscribing to what is Main Street media and think that's going to resolve it, we're getting nowhere. But we'll continue doing our job. We'll continue solving crimes. But when we as a group, we as a nation say, you know what, enough is enough, let's start deterring it. When our kids are subscribing to these lifestyles, it's not easy, but we have to do it.
I don't want to misunderstand. The second shooting where the two Johnsons, were they brothers? Brothers, cousins?
Brothers.
Brothers. In that shooting, I don't believe you said it was drug related. They just had some sort of argument.
The best we can tell in our investigation, it initiated when the Johnson brothers tried to initiate some sort of confrontation with a lady who was dumping her garbage with her baby as her husband was rolling up.
And that was ultimately the family that was involved?
Mm-hmm. You know, a point I have got to make, this stuff is aggravating because it's reflecting on a city that really doesn't deserve the image. Because this is not the image of Gulfport. This is such a compacted problem. My citizens of Gulfport will never have to face this because they're not living in that lifestyle. Most people don't have to live with this because they don't expose themselves to this. But those who are electing to let it go on around them and live it are exposed to it. And it's not fair to our community.
In the shooting that killed the woman, was she the intended target?
Our investigation doesn't show that she was the intended target. It looks like it's just a bad drug deal.
Was the intended target perhaps there?
Yeah, I believe the son that was in the bad drug deal. Any other questions?
I have one more question. You mentioned the, and I know this is something that's not up to the police, obviously, but you mentioned the being out on either, was it parole or probation or something like that? Are you guys having a lot of times to deal with the same faces over and over again?
Oh yeah, yeah. That'd be a good news story. Start looking at that.
And you mentioned that the person who was Mr. Johnson had made bond and bonded out. I think that's what you told us.
That's correct.
So this person is now right back on the streets for you guys.
That's correct. I appreciate y'all being here. Thanks.